Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Chair, and a pleasure to rise. Actually, a pleasure to rise in opposition to Part 1 of the Child Support Amendment Bill, because in standing in opposition to this is the Labour Party standing up for those families who are most vulnerable, actually, and those children who are most vulnerable. No kind of whitewash like white papers on white papers on vulnerable children on this side of the House, Mr Chair, but actually a really deep concern about a piece of legislation that is going to adversely affect children who live in poverty in this country. And the mechanism for this is in Part 1 of this bill. It arises in two main ways in Part 1, Mr Chair. First of all, the absolute opposition from the government to actually include as an object of this bill the fundamental idea that the object of this bill should be to protect the interests of those children first and foremost. First and foremost, Mr Chair. And that was not only just overlooked by the government, but they absolutely refused to do that. And they were asked by a number of submitters to do that. Of course, the Labour Party led the charge on this because it was back in 2011 when the Labour Party said, no, 2010 in fact, when the Labour Party said, we are going to put children at the heart of all of our policy development. Now that's been backed up by the submissions on this bill by the Children's Commissioner, by the Auckland Coalition for the Safety of Women, by the Human Rights Commission, by the Families Commission, the New Zealand Law Society, you name it, they said it. They came in behind the Labour Party to say children should be at the core of this, and they clearly are not. Because of the situation that David Parker just described, where this part of the bill actually reinvents the idea of shared care, and it lowers the threshold of what shared care actually means. And it means that a parent who takes a child over the weekend now qualifies for a financial incentive to do so. And my contention is that if we really had children at the heart of this, we would want, well, the member Alfred Naro says what's wrong with that. Here's what's wrong with that, Mr Naro, is that I want to know that there's a commitment to shared care from that parent because they are wanting to be a good parent, not because they get a financial incentive to do so. And that's what's so wrong with it. I know that the government believes in the market model of parenting because that's exactly what they are actually exhibiting right now. They believe in the market model of parenting, that if you give them the financial incentive, they will suddenly become good parents. Well, on this side of the House, we do not believe in the market model of parenting. We believe in commitment to parenting. Commitment because a parent cares. And that is what is important, and that is what should be pursued through legislation like this. So, it gets worse than that though, Mr Chair, because not only is the weekend parent, the 2-day-a-week parent getting a financial incentive to be so, but the 5-day-a-week parent, the primary carer, the primary parent, I'm not going to call them a carer, they're a parent, the primary parent, actually, they suffer a financial loss as a result. Now, how is that in that vulnerable child's best interest, or vulnerable children, there may be multiple children involved, how is it in their best interest that the person they rely mostly on for their care and their security actually is at a financial disadvantage? How is that in their interests? It cannot be. And that is the main reason why the Labour Party is opposing this bill. It is all about Part 1 and the provisions contained in this part, because we know that those women, and yes, Mr Chair, they are predominantly women, who are in that primary care role for those children, they are not living a sweet life. They are not living this wonderful existence where they've got money to come and go on. Most of those families are struggling to get by on a day-to-day basis, and here comes along this miserable government and makes it even harder for them. makes it even harder for them. Not hearing the cries from our community up and down the country to fix child poverty, they are making it worse.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, it's